or series lit your fuse and made you have to tell stories on screen?
Well, when I was about 4, it would have been 1964 or 1965. And there was a theater in my grandmother's neighborhood. It's Beverly, Chicago. It's a neighborhood in Chicago. And it was called the Beverly Theater or the Beverly Cinema. And I saw The Sound of Music. And I remember going into the theater, and the house lights were on, but it was a big, heavy, deep red velvet curtain. And there was anticipation, it was really exciting. There were a lot of kids and a lot of parents. And then the house lights dimmed and the curtain parted, and we were in Austria. And The Sound of Music. And it was that shot of Julie Andrews spinning in the Alps, just so happy to be outside and free. And then the camera came in and she sang, "The hills are alive with the sound of music." And I was like, oh, I was gone. I was transported. And I've always loved music. Even, as a kid, we're a pretty musical family. And I probably saw that film in my childhood 20 or 30 times because it started to be shown on television. And I also went to the theater anytime it played. There were a bunch of kids, some of them my age in this movie. So I related to that. And there was something about, they got to sing and have beautiful Maria be their nanny, and that it was all make-believe. I knew it was make-believe, and I knew that I wanted to do that. I didn't know that, I couldn't have said that if you asked me at the time, but it so impressed me as magic. And it's something that when I see today, I still get enraptured, but I was enraptured by it. I was transcended. And I ended up being a storyteller and loving music. What I recall loving most about it, I didn't get the Nazi subplot or anything like that, or the love story. I don't think the love story meant very much to me. It was the kids and singing all around, wearing curtains, and that these kids had never played before. And they're running all over Salzburg, singing and riding bikes and running along, lakes and bridges and learning to sing. And the whole do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and the joy of learning how to sing and learning how to play. And this wonderful woman, Julie Andrews, just taking these kids and teaching them the great things in life and what it means to have fun and play. And, I so wanted to be a part of it. So that impressed me at first. That was the first thing.
On your way up, you're still in your formative stages as an actress, what movie or series or performance did you watch that was so good? Maybe it taught you something, but it might also have made you say, can I really do this? Could I ever rise to that level?
I never saw myself in other actors. I guess I never looked at them and said, I never compared myself with them. Not that I thought I was better or worse, but I was so impressed with Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice. I remember seeing that when I was in college, and I was ripped apart by her story, and Kevin Kline's performance as well. Yeah, Kevin Kline's performance in Meryl Streep's and he was heartbreaking and kind of a nut and she was just so broken and it's so beautiful. I remember being absolutely torn apart by that movie and being absolutely impressed by their mastery as actors. I also saw a film called The Crossing Guard. That tore me apart. And when I'm torn apart, I'm bringing these up because that means that something touched me so deeply that I allowed myself to go to that place of, blubbering, crying. Sean Penn and Jack Nicholson did a film called The Crossing Guard, where Jack Nicholson's daughter gets hit by a drunk driver, and it broke me in half. And I remember thinking, that is artistry, that is mastery. And, to lose yourself in a story that just, breaks your heart. I remember I saw it in an afternoon and I could barely leave the place. I was such a wreck that it had moved me so deeply. And I wanted to do that. I thought, I want to move people that deeply. I don't know if I do that now. I don't know if that's my stock and trade in this business, but I am a great fan of that.
So whether it was a success of your own work or maybe approval from someone whose opinion mattered to you, what first gave you the confidence that in fact you could do this and you did belong doing this?
Oh, it's a very good question. It happened a few times, but let me think I think the most significant one was when Christopher Guest put me in his, well, first of all, he cast me in a commercial. And I had seen Waiting for Guffman, and I, of course, had seen Spinal Tap. And I wanted to, it was a preposterous fantasy to do that. But I loved it, to do that kind of movie. I loved it so much. And I got cast in a commercial. He cast me in a Kellogg's Frosted Flakes commercial. And that, I don't know, to have the guy who made those films choose me to be in his commercial gave me just a real good shot of confidence. And then after doing that commercial, I ran into him at a restaurant and he asked me to be best in show. It just happened to be at the restaurant at the right time, thank God. And in showing up to do those movies with Jennifer Coolidge, it was new for her too, so we were kind of holding hands with each other the whole time. Was a huge shot in the arm. And I emerged from those experiences feeling really confident and feeling, like I did have something to offer, and I could work in this business.
What would you say was the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome to allow you to turn the projects that influenced you into your own language as a performer?
My own inner landscape is what prevented me from. I created my own obstacles. One of the things that I learned, and this is after several years of being in the business, is that they want you to do well. Producers and directors and casting people, they want that person to walk in and take it. They want that person to come in and be the one, so they can go, we found her. So I once I got that, I operated in that way, that I'm your cup of tea. I don't even have to be your cup of tea. I might be your cup of tea, but not be the cup of tea for this role. But so I realized that there's so many factors that I can't control. The only thing I can control is the way I walk into that room, the way I prepare. And I always over prepared. I was always, I never went in there having only worked on it for 15 minutes. I think that was when I broke through that, because nobody was holding me back. I was holding me back. I know that most jobs that people audition for, they don't get. It's just how it works. It's just how it works. It's a fact of life. So I didn't bemoan that. Once I learned not to bemoan that, I just showed up with my best self.
And I went back and read about the original series, Party Down, and Jennifer Coolidge was in this, obviously Adam Scott. I've never heard of a series that went off the air where it came roaring back and people realized that it was a gem. But tell me about that process and what burned in you to do this now, and maybe how your characters all have changed.
Well, I think the reason that it kind of got lost in the shuffle in 2008, but it's an ensemble comedy with a lot of really funny people. And it's almost like a sketch comedy show in a way. But we, every episode is a different party because we're caterers, as you know. So I think what worked about it was that it was almost like lightning in a bottle in terms of the casting. We worked really well together. We were, each of us was kind of an independent contractor, meaning we show up and we've got our character. We know how to do it. You hope that it works, that there's magic, and there was just this really great magic. So it did get lost in the when it was actually running, and then we're so happy that it went to streaming and people found it and really loved it, because it really was a gem. And so we have Adam Scott, Ken Marino, all people who are doing great. Ryan Hansen, Megan Mullally, me. Am I missing anybody? Lizzie Kaplan, who isn't in this one, sadly. She was just had a baby and is doing something in New York. But so we missed the heck out of her. But everybody else was available, so we did it. It was a really great thing. We were trying to do a movie. We tried to bring it back a couple of times because we loved it so much. And the fact that we got to go back and do 6 episodes with stars again was just a joy.